Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, all praises and double honor is due to Yahweh, by Hashem, Mashiach, Malak Yahushai. Second, this is Brother Yardan, the people like Detroit, coming back at you with yet the cold cut. Alright, today in this cold cut, I want to address the question, a question that a lot of Israel may be plaguing their mind with. And as you can see in the title, that question is, why do I keep getting judged? Now, first, I would like to start off by explaining what judgment is, and I have definitions put up on the side. So, according to Google, which is a pretty fair description, a process including a decision or sentence. Right? That's what a judgment is. Now, in its truth, a lot of people may refer to judgment as something bad. However, that's not always the case. Right? Because again, a decision can be good. Right? Now, after that, that's what judgment is. The next question is, how do we discern which judgment and versus is bad or good? How do you discern the two? And I'll dive into that later in this video. But before I do want to express one more thing. How a judge, in this case the Most High, how does a judge come to a decision? He comes to a decision based off a standard, and that standard is the law, right? That's how man is able to judge matters, based off the law, right? Our judgment, meaning our decisions, isn't predicated off of our own feelings and emotions and how we think of the situation, but more so from the laws of Yahweh Shai. And so the Most High, he makes his judgments, of course, off the law as well, right? He's the judge in this analogy. So once we got that covered, the next question is, have you been examining yourself? Because again, a lot of people may get a little confused and err not knowing if this judgment means a decision. If it's because, is it because you're wicked, you're going off? Or is it because, you're just getting chastised and the Lord is trying to make you stronger? Or is it just, as he say in the world, shit happening? Right, that's an old expression. Ish happens. So through the precepts that was going to be brought out today, Lord willing, Abaratazah, Israel is edified. So with that, I want to begin with 1 Corinthians chapter 13, which is a beautiful start when it comes to understanding what judgment is. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5. 1 Corinthians chapter 2 Corinthians, I believe. Classic. Chapter 13, verse 5, where it reads, examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves, know ye not your own self, how that Yahweh Mashiach is in you, except ye be reprobate. So while you call yourself an Israelite, keeping the commandments, right, praying and fasting, you still have to examine yourself, because there may be something that you're missing along your way in following after the Lord. Perhaps it could be not praying enough. Maybe it's not performing enough charity and alms. Whatever the case may be, you have to look deep within, because that's what the Lord requires of us. He requires man to examine themselves and to look within to find any secret fault or to find any blemish that's there. And a lot of times we may not do that. So through this video, see this video as a warning or exhortation from the Lord, right? But through a mortal man, a vessel, which is me. So again, before we continue, I do want to state, according to Google, which is pretty credible at times, not all the time, but in this time I find it to be pretty credible, right? I've looked up how judges judge, right? And it reads, the facts and the rule of the law. A judge's decision is the result of the addition of these two elements, right? And the law, according to Esau, but we know the law according to the Bible is, thus saith the Lord, what he commanded of us, right? From Genesis down to Revelation. But according to Esau, which gives a decent definition, according to their world, is an embodiment of truth that instructs. And you can go as far as to say I mean, that is what the law is. That is what the Torah is about, right? It's an embodiment of truth that instructs. The law literally instructs you to do this, or to do that, or to do this. So that's what the law is, right? But according to the scriptures, it reads in Psalms 119. I'm sorry, I'll bring out another one. I may get Psalms 119 later. This is Psalms 147. Psalm chapter 147, and we'll begin at verse 18. He sendeth out his word and melteth them. He causeth his wind to blow and the waters to flow. He sheweth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. And so we see that word judgment again, which is simply a decision. All right, all the thoughts the Lord had, he wanted us to know them, which is beautiful and deep when you think about it. So when the scriptures read in Exodus 28, thou shalt not commit adultery, the Lord thought that. And that's his instructions towards us, that we think that as well, and that we perform that law, right? By not sleeping with our brothers, our neighbors, uncles, grandfather, friend's wife. That's an instruction, right? Which is the law. And so when a man sins and errs by transgressing that law, then that's when judgment comes. But for you to know when you're getting judged, it requires self-awareness. For an example, you can't find yourself, or let's say you're finding yourself not praying at all, and the Lord plaguing you with dreams. You can't begin to wonder, well, why has this happened to me? Or at least you shouldn't. Because you have to kind of put two and two together and then tell yourself, damn, I'm not praying enough. Perhaps that's why the reason the Lord is plaguing me with dreams, right? And that's just that's a light example, if you have ears to hear, right? That's just a base example, right? I also want to bring this out as well, because the scriptures support man to examine themselves. This is Lamentations, chapter 3, verse 40. Let us search and try our ways and turn again to the Lord. So even a letter written by Jeremiah, he's telling Israel in this lamentation, let us search our ways and try. It's like let us search and try our ways. Because during this time period, during the Babylonian captivity, we obviously erred. Which is the result of us being in captivity from our errors. That's why it reads in Baruch, Lord, forgive our forefathers, forgive us of our ways. Because we erred from what? That holy standard, which is the law. So the holy standard, which is the law. Let's bring out another precept in Psalms 119. Psalms chapter 119, verse 59. I thought on my ways and turned my feet unto thy testimonies. David didn't say, well, I turn my ways into a man. I turn my ways into this counsel from a brother that's been in the truth for 1 month. I turn my ways into Twitter. I turn my ways into niggatry. Right? David didn't say those things. He said, I turn my ways into thy testimonies, right? And the testimony to the laws, the scriptures, the statutes, right? They're the best teacher, right? Which is what I brought out earlier. It's an instructor. It's to instruct you from going into a way that's invalid. It reads this as well in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 21. Prove all things and hold fast that which is good. That's true, right? You got to prove things, try things, see what is evil for your life as a reason to put us right 37, I believe 27. You got to see what's evil for your life. Brother, maybe it's evil that you're always on Clubhouse. Or perhaps it's super demonic that you just can't stop playing the PS5. You up until 5 in the morning, the ass crack of dawn on Fortnite, playing 2K, sweating, and your baby crying in the background, and your rib on the phone with her parents and other sisters because you're not reading with her. Maybe that's why you're waking up with migraines and you keep having terrible, bad visions and dreams. Maybe that's why I can never find a job because most eyes judging, right? Now I touched on judgment, um, as in something bad for a while, but I also want to touch on the other side of the coin that judgment can also be beautiful, right? A decision can be comely and beautiful. You read that in the book of History of Susanna, right? It was the judgment of the Lord that she got delivered, right, from the hand of two evil witnesses. It was judgment of the Lord that Joseph was found guiltless. It was of the Lord that a lot of beautiful judgments were passed, right? So you can't always think to yourself judgment is automatically always bad, right? A judgment again is simply a process of including a decision, right, or a sentence based off the facts of the rule of the law. And the Lord is going to judge you however He sees fit as well. Sometimes you may have that of a certain judge where they may, I'm not saying the Lord goes outside the law, but He may, I'll give an example as mortal man. Mortal man, they judge based off the law, but they also have to righteously put in their 2 cents, if you will. Or if you have ears to hear, then you understand that a judge is also given the duty to interpret a situation, right, and judge them based off, what the law may say. So that's you got good type of judgments, and you got bad judgments, and then you have situations where it happens, right? It happens on a carnal level, right? Because we understand and we can always go back and forth and agree that everything at the end of the day is of the Lord, right? But you don't want to be simple in your wisdom, right? That's like me spilling my coffee. Did the Lord judge me because I was off? He didn't want me to drink the coffee, or was it righteous and the Lord was protecting me and I didn't want to drink the coffee? Or is it because you're clumsy, Is that why? Maybe because you're clumsy, right? Or you never fixed the table that you said you would fix, and that's why your coffee failed, right? Or maybe you didn't put the lid on, So you have to use practicality and basic wisdom to understand why certain things may happen. And it requires a lot of self-awareness, and also requires spiritual wisdom as well to discern if something is of the Lord. For an example, this is the book of Jonah. I like this example. It shows man's spiritual awareness. Jonah chapter 1, verse 6. Let me start up further. 1 verse 5, and it reads, Then the mariners were afraid and cried, every man unto his own God, and cast forth the wares that were in the ship into the sea to lighten it of them. But Jonah was down to the sides of the ship, and he lay and was fast asleep. So the shipmasters came to him and said unto him, What meanest thou asleep? Arise, call upon thy God. If so, be that God will think upon us, and we perish not. And it says in verse 7, And they said, every one to his fellow, Come and let us cast lots, that we may know for whose cause this evil is upon us. So they cast lots, and the lot fell upon Jonah. And so in that account, you have the mariners, which is pretty much sea people, right, that do fishing and other certain things in the sea. They came to the conclusion that, hey, this is judgment from the Lord. That man was going off. So that's another account of spiritual awareness. And then you have accounts where, this is Ecclesiastes. Let me bring this out. Ecclesiastes 11:1. I'm sorry. Ecclesiastes 11 and 3. If the clouds be full of rain, they empty themselves upon the earth. And if the tree fall toward the south or toward the north, in the place where the tree falleth, there it shall be. He that observeth the wind shall not sow, and he that regardeth the clouds shall not reap. As thou knowest not what is the way of the Spirit, nor how the bones do grow in the womb of her that is with child, even so thou knowest not the works of God who maketh them all. So some things you're just not going to know. You're not going to know why you got a flat tire, right? You may trying to think, it's judgment. Maybe the Lord trying to protect me from getting an accident, so he popped my car, my tire. Sometimes on a carnal level, if you have ears to hear, you'll understand that sometimes things just happen, right? That's why it says a tree falleth in the south, and a rain just, you're going to see rain. Sometimes you see rain. If it rains on a new moon, no brother should be started immediately thinking, the Lord is judging us. He doesn't want us to be outside of this. Come on, don't use simplicity. Don't be a, what do they call it? Don't be a superstition man. All right? Don't be into superstition or supersticism. I'm making that up, but Israel, you understand what I'm saying. So with that, I'm a bit Israel Shalom, Abaratza Israel has been edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai, and have a further understanding of what judgment is. And to also better realize within your life that you have to be self-aware and knowing what bad judgment versus good judgment versus sometimes things happen, right? So with that, I'm a bit Israel Shalom.